All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the October 2021 Humboldt Park Chicago Avenue Community Roundtable. Hello again to all of you. My name is Ernest Bellamy, project manager for the Chicago Avenue, Humboldt Park Chicago Avenue Invest Southwest Quarter. Today's agenda is as follows on the screen. Updates from the West Humboldt Park Development Council. An update on Remain by Main Streets America. Some department updates from the city with regards to SPIF and CDOT Vision Zero. As well as a light update on the Humboldt Park Chicago Avenue RFP. So I'm taking this time to say thank you to the community, as well as the aldermen and various aspects of the city who routinely join us here on the roundtable. Apologies for any of the background noise you may hear, as multiple meetings are going on here around my station at City Hall. But thank you all for the community as listed here, being regular stakeholders to this roundtable, community and business owners. So without further ado, I want to slide things over to the West Humboldt Park Development Council team for updates from them. Adrian Nefertari, feel free to take it away.
Good morning. I don't think she's on, but this is Adrian. Good afternoon, I'm sorry. I really don't have many updates. I just want to say we completed as navigator spokes for the Back to Business grant that was completed on, it was completed on October the 13th, and we had a lot of interest in the community. So it seems to be successful. We're waiting on to see if some of those individuals we helped receive the funds. We did see one name on the list, so that was successful. Other than that, we don't have many updates. I do have a comment, and I could wait for Vision Zero to speak on CDOT and the update on the removal of some of the street signs, only signs that were in the street to slow the traffic down. The traffic is extremely changed since those signs were allowed to I guess, vanish or become undone. We even had a stakeholder that was in a car accident right in her car on Chicago Avenue because of speeding cars. So we really need to address that. There's too many accidents between Chicago, Kedzie, and Pulaski because of speed. But that's all I have. Nice and short.
All right. Well, thank you, Adrian. Much appreciated. So up next, I'll kick it over to Gustavo for the Main Street America Remain update. Gustavo.
Hi, thank you, Ernest, and welcome everyone. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to share some of the work that we have been doing in coordination with West Humboldt Park Development Council, Adrian and her team. A couple of things that we wanted to highlight. We have been working with Square, the payment processing solutions company, on a series of trainings related to e-commerce and to selling online. We feel that the transition to online shopping and the need for a business, even if it's a physical brick and mortar store, to start considering e-commerce as part of their strategy is no longer something that they can, leave on the plate. It's something that they have to include into their strategy. And this has been building up for a few years, and the pandemic really just accelerated this. And a lot of the statistics are showing that businesses that have a online e-commerce as a complement to their store, to their physical store, are able to do a lot more sales. So we have been working with Square on training, and glad to report that we have completed 2 training sessions in October with Square. The first session on tools to run your business, even when it's not business as usual, which gave a little bit of an overview of everything that Square has to offer. And the second one, which we had actually yesterday, how to take your business online with Square, which is building an e-commerce site. And if you have your own website, you can link it directly to your website. If you don't have a website, Square has an option for free hosting on their platform. So there's a lot of different possibilities there. Very interesting for us and for the businesses that we are getting this training out to is the fact that the Square online store does not have, if you use the basic package, does not have a recurring monthly cost. You pay a transaction fee for every sale that you make. So for a business that is just wanting to try the online, or for a business that does not really want to add another fixed cost to their monthly expenses, this is a great option for you to test out some products and to easily, include the cost of the transaction in the item price. That way you don't have a recurring cost. So we have done that in October. Next slide, please. And very happy to announce that Square has been very happy with the response and with the participation of businesses from Invest Southwest Chicago corridors and other urban Maine communities around the city. So they have expanded the program, and we are going to have access to 2 more free webinars for November. The links to register to the webinars are here on the screen, and I guess we will be able to share the presentation as well if anybody needs the links. Both events are going to be happening on Tuesday, November the 9th at 9 a.m. We will have a webinar on accepting payments with Square. So, obviously, credit cards, all different types of credit cards and debit cards are a possibility on the platform. But during that training, we are also going to dive a little deeper into gift cards, into creating digital coupons, into finding all of those other alternatives that you can use for purchases on Square, and that you can use to motivate your customers to generate more sales. And then Tuesday, November the 9th, that same day on the afternoon at 5 p.m., we will have another deep dive session on how to build an e-commerce website, and basically walk you through each one of the steps to have a store ready to go and ready to sell online. So those are the 2 sessions that we have scheduled for November. And again, we are very excited that Adrienne and her team always help and support, promote these events and participate in these events. And we are happy to have these resources available for the business owners and entrepreneurs in your corridor. Keep in mind the e-commerce training events open for small business owners, open for entrepreneurs. But even if you have somebody in the community that maybe doesn't have a business yet, but is looking at a way of maybe starting an online business, maybe they have a hobby or a craft that they do that they would like to try out to see if it can be monetized, this is a great opportunity for them as well, because they can test it out and fine tune their products. So very happy to have this. Next slide, please. And then the last one, just a little bit of a review of what Adrienne already mentioned. So Main Street America, and through the Urban Maine program, was selected as one of the hubs across the state of Illinois to participate in the Community Navigator program. This was the program that was in charge of marketing and providing outreach and technical support for businesses interested in applying for the Back to Business grant. So Adrienne already gave an update on the work what we have done. We in Main Street America in total had the participation of 19 local organizations that are Main Street and Urban Maine programs across the state, West Humboldt Park Development Council being one of those participants, And the application portal was open from August 18th to the 13th. It has recently closed. And now a lot of the work that we are doing is following up on the application status, and if any business needs to update any other documentation that they have been missing, that's a little bit of the support. And we are planning on the work because the grant is extensive until the end of December. So we are planning right now and in discussions with the different stakeholders and the spoke organizations on some of the work that we are going to undertake for November and December as part of the Community Navigator program, including maybe some technical assistance and training for small businesses and identification of resources and supporting people reach those resources. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Gustavo. And if anyone would like to reach out to Gustavo for more information on what's been covered, his email address is there on the screen. Additionally, the links to the Square webinars I've put in the chat for all those.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ernest.
Thank you. So up next, we have some department updates. First up will be Nora Curry to cover the Small Business Improvement Fund. Nora, thanks for joining us, and take it away.
Hey, thanks for having me. So I am here to remind folks that the Small Business Improvement Fund, or the SPIF program, is actually open right now in the Chicago Central Park SPIF, which is in your community. And I spoke with Nefertari about this the other day, but I am hoping, and I know you guys are, that the West Humboldt Park organization is marketing this to the businesses in the area. It is open until November 1st, Monday at 5 p.m. So folks can still get their applications in. The SPIF provides non-competitive grants to small businesses and property owners to make permanent building improvements. And we provide grants up to $150,000 for commercial properties and $250,000 for industrial properties. We can provide up to 90% of eligible costs for the smallest businesses. And you do have to be a small business to apply. And as I said, the application deadline is Monday at 5 p.m. The application is really very simple. This first stage of the application is just 3 pages, so it is not too late to get that together. If you'll head to the next page, you can see the, here's a map of the area. The blue is the whole TIF. So anybody located within the TIF can apply, any business property within a TIF. The yellow outline is the Invest Southwest Corridor. I'm sure you're all very familiar with that by this time. Applications within that yellow outline will get priority if we have to go to a lottery, although the system, the program is not competitive. We do have, if we have more applications than we have money for, we have a lottery just to determine what order we pull from. However, in this SPIF, we have a good deal of money. We have almost $1.3 million for our project, so we may not even get to that point. So we have a great opportunity to make a big impact on this community, especially along Chicago Avenue. So we really encourage people to apply. So take a look there. You can also, if you go to the next page, go to our rollout calendar, and you'll recognize the handsome face on our website, I think, from Turkey Chop Queen Love. You can go to our website, chicago.gov/SPIF. If you go to our rollout calendar, which is a tab on our page, you can see the deadline for October 21st. You can go to we have a recording of our video presentation from the beginning of the year and watch the entire video, which goes through what are the details of the program, everything that it takes to be eligible, and just the presentation itself. So you can see what kind of business is eligible, what the limits are, how large you can be and still be eligible for the program, and what's required of you as part of the application. So that's all available on YouTube, and you can go right to it on the website. You can also get the application on our website by clicking on the Apply Now tab there. And then next one, Ernest. And if you have any questions, there's a whole mess of phone numbers and website and emails on there, but I'll draw your attention to mine. My name again is Nora Curry. And I'm the second one on the left there. I'm Nora Curry, Program Director, nora.curry@cityofchicago.org. I'm always happy to answer questions. Of course, Adrian and Nefertari are experts on the program as well, and we rely on our delegate agencies to help with everything about the SPIF program. And I know that they have been out pounding the pavement and marketing the program and helping people complete their applications and get through. We have been, Turkey Chop is one of the many businesses we've helped in the area. So it really is a program that people can use effectively to make a big difference for their businesses. So we hope to see a lot of it in the area. We've got a lot of resources to make an impact. So thank you.
Thanks, Nora. And thanks for the timely update and info, given the final days of the window for SPIF being open here on Chicago Central Avenue. Just want to take a moment to pause if there's any questions with regards to the information that Nora's covered.
Yeah, I love talking about SPIF. So
Okay, well, hearing none, we'll move on. Thanks again, Nora. Next up is Greater Good Studio covering Vision Zero. We have Kate and Karishma. Feel free to take it away.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Ernest, for giving us some time to speak again on this platform. Before we jump in with our update, I did want to ask Adrian a little bit more about the signage issue on Chicago Avenue. We do have a meeting with CDOT later today, so I would love to bring it up with them and find out more information about kind of what's going on. So if you can you share with me what signs you're speaking about specifically and when they started disappearing?
So I want to say they started disappearing over a month ago. I guess they weren't repainted, and I'm not sure when they put paint on it, is it just a, temporary, they don't put a heavy layer, but there was only signs on the right side of the curve for buses and for those turning right. That is gone. I have to say it was working because those that were in the center lane slowed down. If you weren't turning, not too many people got in the right lane. So it really slowed the traffic down, which is great because, people were jumping from one lane to the next. We have schools and children and people are crossing the street, and the traffic is just so fast that there's accidents. So
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what was the reasoning behind that, but the traffic has speeded up. The lanes are, I'm sorry, I'm just juggling, trying to get rid of, move a dog out the way. But the lanes are, have opened up again.
Yeah, so I think so you're referring to the bus only lane, which I don't know that it was intentionally that the signs were removed, but I think that you're right that they probably have just faded away. I do know that CDOT is working with the CTA to figure out what their evaluation of the bus only pilot program. And so they were waiting to get more information about that and kind of what the future of that pilot is going to be. So I don't have more information specifically around that, but I can certainly bring it up with CDOT today at our meeting and see if they have any more information and kind of what the plan is for repainting or reinstating that bus pilot.
Okay.
So as soon as I have more information, I will definitely pass it on to you, and I'll let them know about your concerns and the concerns of others around the speeding on Chicago Avenue and the safety issues there for sure.
Okay. Yes, thank you so much. And just to let them know, it really worked
Yeah,
when they
yeah,
were
for
visible,
sure.
when they were visible.
Yeah, we'll definitely let them know. Thank you.
Okay.
So with that, I will just jump into providing a little bit of update on what we've been working on. So if you can go to the next slide, Ernest. So again, just a reminder, Vision Zero is about eliminating death and serious injury from traffic crashes. Next slide. And so we're thinking about, again, how to change the way we design and view our streets and making them safer for everyone. I know a lot of you have already heard this information, so I'll kind of breeze through it. Next slide. We're working in Humboldt Park, including West Humboldt Park, West Town, and then also Belmont Cragen as our 3 community areas that are 3 of the higher traffic crash areas in the city. Next slide. And you all have probably seen this in different formats now, but again, we're looking at a number of corridors in the area that have particularly high rates of crashes that result in injuries over the past few years. Next slide. So what we've been doing over the last several months is engaging community members and really understanding kind of how they're moving around the community and what they envision safe streets to look like in the community. So we've been at different events, the West Humboldt Park Fest. We were kind of stationed at the library talking to folks there. We did a little neighborhood tour. We've been doing one-on-one interviews and focus groups with community groups, and we're continuing to do that into the next few weeks as well. Next slide. And we wanted to share just a brief, a little bit about what we've learned. And again, in the interest of time, I'm kind of going to breeze through this, but I believe this presentation will be available for folks if they wanted access to it after. So just in terms of what we've been learning, next slide, we've categorized our learnings into 6 categories, 6 themes. Ernest, can we move to the next slide? Great. So these are the 6 themes that we are looking at. Oh, some of the formatting changed, I think, between PowerPoint. But these are the 6 themes that we'll be going through very briefly that we are looking at. And based on kind of what we've heard, there's some nuances in terms of the neighborhoods that the different neighborhoods that we're working in. So we'll talk briefly about what these different themes are and how they're showing up in the neighborhood. We'll go to the next slide. So the first theme is about sharing the street. So this theme really recognizes that streets are consistently being used by a number of people on a number of different modes, such as driving, bicycling, walking. And not only are modes being shared, but the street is also a place where activities are being shared, whether they're positive or negative. And because of all the sharing that's happening, whether it's willingly or unwillingly, there's also a lot of conflict and tension on the street. And that's a lot of what we're hearing about. So if you go to the next slide, what we've written a few quotes that we've heard from community members about this theme, but in West Humboldt Park, we're seeing that the sharing is really balancing or tipping towards cars. And what we've heard from people is that they see having more space and separation as a way to get to safety. And there's some quotes here that I won't really read, but how people are really thinking about sharing the street in West Humboldt Park. Next slide. The second theme is really about choosing a mode. So there's a lot of considerations that go into the decision-making in terms of how people are deciding how they want to get around. So whether it's thinking about their own personal circumstances or the context within which they are moving around or helping to make that decision for them. Next slide. So in West Humboldt Park, we've heard that the primary reasons for how people are choosing to get around, which is driving, is partly due to the lack of destinations that are nearby, as well as many safety concerns. However, we are hearing about more changes that are coming to the neighborhood, more destinations that are hopefully coming, and the expectation is that with those changes, we'll see more destinations, but also more options for how people are getting around. Next slide. So the next theme is about making infrastructure work. So Here we're recognizing that in order for people to even have options for getting around, first and foremost, the infrastructure has to be in place. And then once the infrastructure is in place, it has to be maintained. There has to be more systemic thinking about the solutions that are being put forth rather than just one-off solutions, and making sure that the infrastructure is working for everyone in order for it to remain effective. So next slide. In West Humboldt Park, we've heard about the historic lack of infrastructure as well as the lack of maintaining what's already being there. We've also heard about new amenities that are coming in, for example, the bus-only pilot. But again, these amenities are not always being maintained and not necessarily being thought about systematically. Next slide. The fourth theme is really around centering culture and community. So streets are more than just for moving people. They're places where people can slow down and perhaps even stay. But in order for that to happen, there have to be places for people to see and people to do things. And community members really have to feel that a place really reflects their identity in order for them to feel invested and kind of feel like it's their own. Next slide. So in West Humboldt Park, we learned a lot about the efforts to instill a sense of place and create reasons for people to slow down and stay. But again, you know, as Adrian and others have pointed out, there's some real challenges. And so there's a need for a lot more resources in order to, one, meet people's basic needs, while we're also thinking about enhancing the culture and vibrancy on the street. Next slide. So this theme is about navigating the street. So we know that streets are dynamic and they're changing every day, whether it's in the way that they're designed and in terms of who they're used by, and even sometimes the rules that are applied to a particular street. At the moment, trust on the street is pretty low in terms of people identifying who's following the rules and who's not. In some cases, it's because people aren't sure what the rules are, but in other cases, some people simply don't care what the rules are and are kind of going about their way. Next slide. In West Humboldt Park in particular, we heard that there may be individuals that are intentionally breaking rules, but there's also an issue around a lack of education and a lack of awareness of what's there and how it's supposed to be used and what the rules are. And then next slide, the final theme we're thinking about is how to look at safety holistically. So being on the street is about more than just traffic safety. There's personal and community safety factors that need to be considered. Next slide. And in West Humboldt Park in particular, we've heard about these additional safety issues around gun violence and drug use and et cetera, that really are having a big impact on how people are choosing to get around and their general behavior on the street. So kind of thinking about safety beyond just, you know, what's happening on the road, but thinking about how these other factors that are impacting kind of what's the behaviors on the road. Next slide. So as we're thinking about all these different themes and insights that are coming out, we're also exploring a lot of different questions in order to get to solutions and thinking about how do we get people to share the street and feel safe? How do we help people make transportation options other than cars available to people and attractive for people? How do we ensure that infrastructure is maintained and in place? Next slide. And then similarly, looking at culture and community and how can we express identity and navigating the street, and even thinking about looking at safety holistically and bringing positive activities on the street. So there's a lot of questions we're thinking about as we're brainstorming solutions. Next slide. And at the same time, as we're coming up with these longer term solutions, we're also thinking about potential pilot locations that we can explore. Because while CDOT is going to be working on these initiatives in the long term, they are also wanting to identify some pilots for installation next spring. And so these are a few that we've identified based on what we've heard in the community. So on Chicago Avenue from Kedzie to Pulaski, especially areas around Roe Clark High School, as well as Orr Academy. On Kedzie Avenue from Ohio Street to Chicago Avenue, especially the crossing between Kells Park and the library. the intersection of Pulaski and Division, and then a couple of intersections along Sacramento, in particular, Grand Avenue and Chicago Avenue. So we are starting to identify what some of those pilot interventions might look like at these locations, but we're still interested in collecting other locations or identifying kind of what the priorities might be for the community. So if you go to the next slide, we've put together a survey that we are sharing with folks that's in the chat right now. We have an English and Spanish version, and we're asking folks to please take the survey so we can have in writing kind of what the community priorities are, both long-term as well as for some of these short-term pilots that are going to start kind of popping up next spring, hopefully. So we would invite you to take the survey, share it with your constituents and groups, and so that we can make sure that we're getting input from the right folks. And I'm happy to answer any questions that folks have. I know we went through that kind of quickly.
Okay, questions going twice. All right, Karishma, thank you so much. Really appreciate you all giving an update on Vision Zero, as well as the call for folks to fill out the survey. I'll definitely be looking to send out these links as well post-meeting to all those as a recap of where they can go to fill out the forms, but also provide the information to provide further out into the community. So I've added a slide for contact info, just in case anyone wanted to reach out to Karishma or Kate. Here it is here. And then lastly, wanted to give you all an update on the Humboldt Park Chicago Avenue RFP. Less of a recap, more of a current status. The next key date is we're planning on having an announcement sometime in mid-November as to the winner of the RFP. So we will let you know when that'll be, as well as opportunities to view when they become available. Lastly, some dates to keep in mind for the next month. Again, from today, SPIF applications are due November 1st at 5 p.m. Again, RFP announcement tentatively scheduled for mid-November, and we'll keep you all abreast of that via email. And our next neighborhood roundtable is going to be on November 24th, the Wednesday right before Thanksgiving. So from here, just I'll pause for any final comments or questions from everyone. Okay, well, hearing no questions. Thank you all for joining today. Looking forward to letting you all know when that RFP announcement date and location is, so you can attend virtually. And looking forward to seeing you all again at the next roundtable. Until then, stay safe and stay warm as the temperatures are cooling down. And see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.